Greta Thunberg, I try to say it the Swedish way, but I feel stupid every time. But I'm trying to give her the respect she deserves because, like, we're seeing a somebody who's like a historic activist and like a figure that is really changing the world when she's only 22 years old. And it's incredible to witness. I'm inspired by her singular focus on injustice and on capitalism, and on climate change. And she's talked about this before, like how her autism is her superpower because it's given her the ability to have such intense interests. And that's just something that sticks with me all the time, just about like how our neurodivergent friends can contribute in such meaningful, impactful ways to our discourse because of the different way that they see the world. And, you know, you can have an Elon Musk. This doesn't mean you're automatically somebody who will have compassion for others, but it's just like, I think highlights the specificity of her voice and why she's able to cut through the BS and doesn't fall for traditional media narratives and questioning. This whole press conference, which was around 13 minutes, when she immediately got off the plane that the Israelis put her on, she landed back in Paris. Again, to recap, she and around a dozen other activists were on a flotilla, which was a 7-day trip, trying to get to the Gaza Strip with aid to break the blockade. It was both symbolic, but like they also did have actual supplies. The Israelis encircled their ship with drones, attack drones, sprayed the boat with paint, and then boarded this UK-marked vessel in international waters and kidnapped everybody on board. There are still many activists who remain in Israel, in part because they have... It's unclear at this point because we don't know, but there's likely a question about whether or not they want to sign deportation papers, because that would, at least in Israel's like legal framework, it would acknowledge falsely that they like came into Israel when they didn't. So a lot of the activists are reticent to sign deportation papers because it would be some legal acknowledgement that they did something wrong when they didn't. They were in international waters.
Crazy to be kidnapped in international waters and have to then obey that lunatic country's laws, but go on.
Yeah, and so we do know two of the volunteers, the Brazilian volunteer Thiago Avila and the French-Palestinian European Parliament member Rima Hassan. They've been transferred to separate prison facilities, according to France 24, away from the others, and placed in solitary confinement, according to this Israeli human rights group.
I also saw that Thiago, I don't know if it's true, I was seeing on Twitter that he might have started a hunger strike in protest. And
they sent Greta back on a plane, which, you know, I don't know. I don't put it, it's the most efficient way to transport her out of the country, sure. But they also know that she doesn't fly as a matter of principle, and they wanted that photo op of her in an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, put her on a plane, okay, whatever. To take pictures of it and have all your fucking government ministers gloating about it is freakish behavior. It's standard of Israel. So standard.
It's almost mundane compared to the other Hasbara. But here she is, immediately after getting off the plane, answering questions from reporters about her experience. And this is where she's asked about if she's disappointed that they couldn't break the blockade.
A basis.
Are you disappointed you didn't manage to break the blockade?
I don't know if disappointed is the right word. This is a continued violation of international law and war crimes that Israel are systematically committing against Palestinians by not letting aid come in, by starving people and mass slaughtering in every possible way. During a live streamed, full-blown genocide that the world is watching.
How do you feel about European governments and their position and what they're doing and not doing?
Yeah, both in our case, their silence was complicity with Israel's illegal actions, but most importantly, their complicity in the genocide that's going on now by sending aid by sending military and financial support to Israel, they are also part of the killings of Palestinians.
There's a conference coming up at the UN. France is thinking of recognizing the state of Palestine. How do you feel about that?
It's the very, very bare minimum. Of course, welcome, but we need so much more than that. When there's even a risk of genocide happening, we have a duty to prevent that from happening. And right now we are so far gone beyond that stage. It is. There are no words to describe the betrayal that is happening every day by our own governments.
Well said. And you just see how on message she is. And there are previous questions about, like, was your experience difficult? How did the Israelis treat you? She didn't even really answer those because she would redirect it to the suffering of the people in Gaza. This was another answer I liked of hers. She's asked later in the press conference why she agreed to leave Israel. And the answer should be a little bit self-evident, but then is asked why she thinks the world is ignoring or not the world, honestly. It's the people in power are allowing this genocide to happen in the West. And her answer was good on that, too.
Huh?
Why did you choose to come back?
Why would I want to stay in Israeli prison, like, more than necessary?
Why do you think so many countries, governments around the world are just ignoring what is happening in Gaza?
Because of racism, that's the simple answer, I would say. Racism and basically desperately trying to defend a destructive, deadly system that systematically puts short-term economic profit and to maximize geopolitical power over the well-being of humans and the planet. And right now it's very, very difficult to morally defend that. It is impossible, but still they are desperately trying, which is absurd is not the word, but there are no words to describe it.
Objectively heroic action by everybody on board, including Greta, obviously.
In 2025, if you told me like in 2012 that what we would be doing is spending billions and billions of dollars to genocide Palestinians and secure political systems across the West, UK, Americas, by buying politicians from the Israel lobby to make sure that nothing can be done about it, instead of addressing climate change, instead of doing anything about, like, I don't know, high-speed travel or rail, or, you know, instead of any of the huge civilizational problems facing the fucking world, we're doing this shit.
Yep. And she says it there. It's to maintain this system of profitability and short-term profits over humanity and over just
Western supremacy.
Yeah, Western supremacy. And the plan. Do you know how many tons of munitions Israel has dropped on that 141 square mile strip of land on top of what used to be 2.3 million people in that area? Like, the amount of destruction in our environment it's just obvious that she would stand alongside the Palestinian people, because colonialism and capitalism are interconnected. Hate to break it to people, but the reason the planet is burning is because of the seeking of endless profits. And colonialism was a way to make capitalism global, and it's the complete underpinning of our supply chains that are both contributing to the warming of our planet, and why Israel and Palestine is at the beating heart of what is hurting all of us right now, which is maintaining that imperialism and colonialism by force.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.